Happy Monday night, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington. My name is Catherine Kaufman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night live talk show here on Facebook and Instagram. Now, if you're tuning in to the professional page, Catherine Kaufman Psychic Medium TV, and you want to join in on the chat, you need to hit that link in the title box and come over here to the personal page so that you can join in the chat. But if you just want to watch, hang out on the professional page and enjoy the show. Shout outs to Sophia, Walter, Jennifer, Margaret Alley, and Samantha Taylor, Melissa Begley. Kisses to you and Cleo. Thanks for joining us this evening, and hey to everybody over here on Instagram. Thanks for joining us this evening. Very good to have you guys. Let me make sure that this is all going well. Checking the connections. The connections on the internet have been really bad today, and I wonder what that's all about. Hey to Raho and Cassandra. Thanks for joining me this evening. So tonight we're talking about psychic vampires. This is part 2 in the series. The last Monday night, or before the third eye opening, we went over part 1 of psychic vampires, and I'm just going to do kind of a quick recap on that. Over here, hey to Lacey, Barbara, Bernard, Kathleen, and Helen. Thanks for joining us. So what are psychic vampires? Psychic vampires are, this is just a quick recap, they're classically people who are of weak energy or weak constitution. They're people who kind of feel chronically rejected. They need constant reassurance. They're never really satisfied with what they gain in life. They're constantly seeking nurturing. And they're very low on energy and experience a lot of fatigue in their life. And so what they do is to connect with, on an energetic level, other people and actually siphon some of the excess energy off of people they come in contact with. Now, from what I've spoken with psychic vampires, they often do this in social situations like groups of people, and will actually work on the group of people to draw excess energy. Hey to Brainsmith over here on Instagram. Thanks for joining us this evening. And over here on Facebook, hi to Beth, Bernard, Jennifer, Kathleen, and Yasmin. Thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks for the hearts and the kisses, and kisses back to you guys. And Trina. So Kathleen says, just say no to psychic vampires. I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy. But often psychic vampires will work on a group of people, and I did do some investigating on how they do that. And so often they will interject themselves into groups of people such as churches, because churches raise an extreme amount of positive energy. And so when they do visit these churches, and the churches are in prayer or they're in song and singing, that is when the psychic vampire will draw the energy off of the crowd of people. Now, in my experience, when you're in a church situation and there's group prayer going on, that is a really good time to kind of sort of bathe in that positive energy. And what it does is it creates a protective shield around you for the following week. But that attenuates during the week. So by the time next Sunday rolls around, you're in need of reinforcement of this protective energy. But what a psychic vampire does is they just siphon that energy off and use it to kind of bolster or regenerate what's already missing or what's lost in their own auric field. So psychic vampires will produce these symptoms of a psychic attack. So things that you will feel or experience if you've had this happen to you is a leaky or diminished aura. Now, how can you tell that? Well, there have been a lot of pre and post psychic vampire extractions of energy pictures done. And these are auric pictures or Kirlian photography of before a psychic attack occurs and then afterwards. And so what's seen on these photographs are an intact aura of the victim before the attack. And then they take a picture of the aura after the attack. And these are on the internet. You can look them up really easily and see the before and after photographs. But the after photograph, you can see kind of holes in the aura and a really, really diminished aura compared to the before picture. Let me check for questions. And if any of you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section. If you're over on the professional page, I won't see those comments until tomorrow, but I promise you I will go ahead and answer each and every one of those. So Bernard says that he's far more advanced than most. Please expound on that, Bernard. We would love to know your experience with this. And Sophia says it's terrible for empathetic individuals. Yes, Sophia, anybody with psychic abilities or empathetic abilities, our abilities go a little bit past where the aura normally ends. And so that's a real attractant for people who need this type of energy. And for most psychic vampires, they don't even realize what they're doing. Now, some do, and they're the ones that will actively seek out groups or churches to become involved in to siphon that energy off of. But there are, I would say, the majority of people who use energy off of other people really have no idea that they're doing it. It just seems like a natural exchange of energy for them. Hey to Kyla, special shout out to George and Sarah. And over here on Instagram, hey to Mark, Fiorin Woods, and Tarot Decks. Thanks for joining me tonight. So some of the other symptoms of a psychic attack, we notice the leaky or diminished aura, and you can look that up on images on Google and see those aura photographies. Dizziness, an extreme profound weakness or loss of energy, muscle tension, and I think the muscle tension is kind of a protective, reactive type of response that the body has to this invasive energy coming in to drain it. Mental confusion that can go along with the dizziness, chronic fatigue, sleep disturbances, irritability, depressed mood, and often chronic draining kind of physical illnesses. And most often they're more neurological illnesses. So a lot of these studies were done by the Parapsychology Foundation of New York. The before and the after photographs were courtesy of the Parapsychology Foundation of New York. So those are really, really good places to go back and look at the research. Let me check for questions. So Sophia says that she isolates for protection and she doesn't go out when her energy is low. So yeah, that is a good idea, Sophia. We're going to go over a couple of like 3 different techniques to use to prevent that energy drain. And Sarah says, sounds like me. So pay attention, Sarah. You'll want to learn some of this stuff as well. So Bernard says, I am classed as one of the chosen ones. So I know it's odd, but sometimes it's accidental. Absolutely, it can be accidental. And I do think the majority of people are not aware of this energy exchange that they need. And it is because, for whatever reason, You might have been born that way. It might have happened through circumstance. You know, your auric field is weak or something has happened to it, and you just need that excess energy. Hey to Karen and Zoe. Bernard says, I get much of a drain of power. And hey to Linda Uffman. So for those of us who don't have a lot of excess energy to give to a psychic vampire, and it does drain us beyond like a physical safety, some of the things that you can do to block or shield or prevent this type of drain are the following. Hey to Ashley, nice to see you. So the first one that I particularly use is a shield, and I call it the garage door. And this is a basic shielding technique that I teach people when I do introductory to psychic abilities courses. Now, in the old days when I first learned all this stuff, and we're talking 30 plus years ago, and they still teach this today, is the golden shield or the golden bubble that you visualize around yourself. But my scientific mind could never envision a golden bubble because I did not have experience with a golden bubble. It was totally foreign to me. I couldn't really relate to it because I have a very scientific mind. So one of the things that I developed on my own is the garage door shield. Now, pretty much everybody has felt and pulled down a garage door. So we know what it looks like, we know what it sounds like, we know what it feels like. And so that is a shield that you can use. So what you want to do is close your eyes and see, hear, and feel closing the garage door, especially over the solar plexus area, because that is the seat of the will and the power of the body. And so that is the main area that somebody who needs this energy can draw from. Now, if you're comfortable giving a psychic vampire some of your energy, that's perfectly okay. You're going to help them feel better. But there are those people who will drain this malevolently and sometimes even to cause harm. So let's check for questions. Hey to Brenda, Joe, Cynthia, and Tony. And Sophia says, I'm an equal opportunity protector. Lord's Prayer, Hail Mary, lesser banishing ritual. And yes, that's perfectly awesome as well. I'm just really scientific, and I have to have some physical experience to draw from, and the garage door is one of those things that I've done many times in my life, and it just works so well for somebody who's more scientifically minded. So let's see. Kathleen says, sometimes if I start feeling kind of funk around me, I'll put up a spinning pink cocoon with gold and silver. That's really good. Now, Kathleen, anything that's rotating, any kind of energy that you can imagine that's rotating is extremely protective. The negative energy bounces off of it. That is really awesome. I love that. So do keep that. I wonder why you envision it pink, though. Are you sending out love to that person even though it is a protective barrier? Or are you doing it pink just to envelop yourself in love and just to keep that close to yourself? Hey to Judy, and Brenda says, I have a hard time visualizing things. And that, Brenda Joe, is why the garage door works so well, is because it's something tactile that you've handled before, and it really evokes a strong memory which helps you to visualize. I think the reason why a lot of us have trouble visualizing is because a lot of the visualizations have to do with something we don't physically have experience with. So if you can translate it into a physical object like the garage door, I feel like it will work better for you. And the garage door shield does work better for men than women. A lot of men that I've taught this technique to will tell me, I just can't get into a golden bubble. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But when I teach them the garage door block or shield, they pick it up really readily and it works for them. So Cynthia says, I like the garage door. If you can visualize, you can go to prayer for God to be your support and release that fear to him. Absolutely, 100%. So the garage door blocker shield is one of the ways that you can protect yourself, especially if you're feeling low on your energy and you really can't have any extra to give to anybody else. Now, on occasion, I think it is okay to help somebody out who actually needs that energy, and, you know, they're somebody who's chronically weak and they suffer from it. But I think it needs to be a consensual exchange of energy, just like anything else. And if that person were to come to me and say, you know, I need some help, I would certainly be open to giving that. Okay, so let's continue on. And before I go into the other two protective techniques, I want to go over some confessions of a psychic vampire. This was one of the things that I discovered in doing my research. And this was conveyed by an actual psychic vampire. Was what they did was they created a thought form, and they sent the thought form to a group of people, and the thought form fed off of the whole group of people. Now, this was something that they actually needed because they had gotten so sick and to such a point where their energy was so low that they actually could not go out and harvest the energy themselves. So they created the thought form to do this task for them. And it did, and they did start getting better, and they received the benefits from this excess energy. So Kathleen says, love around myself and those, and love to those with the negativity. Absolutely. Hey to Floriana and Rosemary, Tom Driver. Hey to you. And Bernard says, if you take, you must give back. Yes, it's an exchange, and sometimes I feel like people need it, and sometimes they just need to give back. So I feel like it needs to be an equal exchange between people. Sophia says, absolutely, ask for the energy. Don't just take my energy. I will give above and beyond most times. And we are going to go over some people who take the energy just malevolently. We'll get to that in just a minute. And some of the characteristics of these type of people. But going back to the confessions of the vampire, they did warn that there were dangers to your own psyche from doing this, because your aura contains all of your experiences in life, bad and good. And so when you drain somebody, you need to really be concerned with what type of person you're taking energy from, because you're not only draining the positive energy from them, but you're also pulling those negative experiences that person has had over the course of their life. And so that type of energy is going to be incorporated into your own. So you may have flashbacks of negative situations that the person you've drained has experienced in their life. You know, let's just take myself, for example. And if somebody tried to drain me, they would not only get the positive energy that I put off, but they're also going to get the horrible memories that I have from people dying on me in the ICU and the horrible things that I've seen in my life. So they may have, you know, nightmares of some of the visualizations that I experienced during my life. So it's really kind of tenuous who you think you need to drain energy from. And so it may actually be safer to do it from a generalized group in a positive setting, like a church setting during, you know, collective prayer. So that may be one of the best ways to take energy, actually. So let's see. Hey to Donna, and Bernard says, I now ask Mother Nature and give her back when overpowered with that energy. That's a good thing to do as well. It's not as strong as drawing from another personal, like a person, but it is a collective energy that you can certainly get a lot of energy from. So Kyla says, I was told by a guide that my type of empath cannot fully block the extraction of energy. I call it a catalyst empath. The truth always comes out when I'm around. So people who have things to hide avoid me a lot. There are types of clairsentience, Kyla, that you can't fully block. I agree with that, because the energetic cord that an empath throws out to the environment is going to be met by this. And that's how some empaths analyze their environment, is through throwing out these energy cords, and they're going to be picked up by people who need that energy and will connect with it when that energy cord is out there. And so you can't guard against that, because your energy isn't within the space. It's out there trying to sense, who's out there and who's available. Hey to Catherine and Pamela. So yes, Kyla, your type of empathic ability is susceptible to psychic vampires. Okay, so moving right along, I want to go into some of the psychic vampires that are very malevolent. This is a minority. I want you to understand that the majority of people who are psychic vampires usually don't have any idea that they're doing it, and then the others are very responsible about where they take energy and who they take energy from. But there are extremely malevolent psychic vampires as well. They will pretend that they're your friend in order to deliberately destroy or debilitate your energy. Let me check for questions really quick. Hey to Donna Marie, Chelsea, Sharon, and let's see. Sophia says the wise woman and medicine man always lived just removed from the group for good reason. Absolutely. So malevolent ones, they actually function a different way, because most psychic vampires will drain the energy, but they don't deposit anything malevolent. The ones that are really malevolent will actually interject kind of it's an energy poison into the person. So they are actually, we call them dumpers. And their presence will make you tired, confused, emotionally flooded, and really, really sick. And so what they're doing is dumping poisonous energy into your energy field. And if it's not cleared away, if you don't know that this is happening, and if it's not cleared away quickly, it can take you years to recover from this. So hey to Jim Serena over here on Instagram, and KY Dovey, thanks for joining us. Over here on Facebook, hey to Rolando and Katie, thanks for joining us this evening. So the malevolent psychic vampires are actually introducing kind of an energetic poison into your system. And so what you will have to do is go to an energetic healer, like a pranic healer or a Reiki practitioner, to have this actual poisonous energy removed from your auric field. These vampires are not mentally disturbed or deranged. They know exactly what they're doing. They're very deviant types of people, and all of their relationships are pretty pathological. And if you ask them, like if you could remember back in your life as to some good times, they will not remember the people that they're with. They will remember the circumstance and the energy of the circumstance, but they will not comment on the people that they were with, because the people mean nothing. The people are just kind of a source to them. They will remember things in experiences, but they won't relate to the people that they've actually drained. So it's not their acquaintances that they recall with affection, it's the experiences that they recall with affection. And so a vampire will exit a situation or a relationship as soon as things become slightly complicated or even the slightest bit uncomfortable. They're out of there very, very fast. So these people are really kind of malleable human chameleons, and what they do is they sense what kind of energy their victim needs, and they're going to temporarily give that to their victim so that they can, what they're doing is cajoling the victim to have no sense of protection, to open those shields completely up, to trust them, and then they go in to completely drain and leave that poisonous energy behind. So a lot of these acts are called mirroring. And so the mirror is simply giving that person what they want to see or what they want to hear or what they want to feel for the time to allow them a door in. So let's see. Bernard says they are just bad, not good for anyone. Absolutely. Excuse me. These are really malevolent people, and it is a minority of the psychic vampires that do this. So Samantha says, can you be drained from away from the vampire? Clarify that a little bit more, Samantha. Can you be drained from away from the vampire? Bernard says possible, but I need you to clarify that a little bit more so that I know exactly what you're asking. So she also says, so much worse, didn't know about dumpers. Oh my. Yes, I didn't either before I started doing this research, and I'm so glad I did, because these are more dangerous and they can affect your health a whole lot more than the person who is inadvertently draining your energy or who drains the excess and doesn't really get too invasive. These dumpers are extremely invasive, and they do not care what kind of damage that they reap. So Samantha says, if they are not near you. Oh, correct. Yes, they can drain you when they're not near you. Absolutely. And this can be done by the theory of non-locality, Samantha. So it's really helpful to study just a little bit of quantum physics so that you know how these energy exchanges work. And remember the confessions of the vampire I was talking about earlier, who was too weak to actually go out and drain energy on his own. What he did was he created a thought form and sent the thought form to these groups of people to drain energy, and did gain energy from that and was able to recover from a chronic illness doing that. So Kyla says, I believe you can. That's when you have to cut cords. Absolutely, Kyla. And the cords are one of the ways that the psychic vampire senses who has the most amount of energy to drain, because a lot of empathic people and people with abilities, that energy cord is how they're sensing their environment. Sophia says, separate the wheat from the chaff. Hey to Carrie Gill, thanks for joining us this evening. So let me get to these other two ways to protect yourself, because we are running a little bit short on time, and I want to get to those really quick for you. Absolutely. So the main way that you're going to protect yourself, and this was developed, I think, by that Parapsychology Foundation of New York. It is a technique that involves interlocking fingers and some visualization. So what you're going to want to do is to interlock these two fingers here at first, okay? And then you're going to close the hand like this, okay? Then you're going to want to envision your body enveloped in a bright sphere of impenetrable energy, okay? Now you can do this secretly. You don't have to show anybody you're doing this. You can drop your hands and just relax like this, and pretend that you're just holding your hand and visualizing that bright sphere of energy. If you can't get your mind around the bright sphere of energy like me, you're going to use your garage door at this time. See, hear, and feel, closing the garage door while you're doing this. Now, in one other instance, and I thought that this was interesting because it was a whole nother separate place that I had picked up this research. They actually envisioned a perpetuating internal protective circle. And so this perpetuating internal circle was at work all the time, not just when they felt that they were under attack. So this perpetuating internal protective circle is like put in place internally and is supposed to keep going constantly to prevent anything like this from happening while the person is not aware. So, hey to Ann Fisher-Smith, and Kathleen says, at times I know someone is feeling negatively about me because I get a feeling in my gut, almost like someone punched me in the stomach, and I start feeling nauseous. When that happens, I have to blow it out and then put up the spinning cocoon. That's that pink one. When it's like that, when I have the energy they are sending me, send it back to them. That's an excellent technique, and I would suggest anybody watching tonight or anybody reading that, that would be an excellent technique to use as well. So Bernard says, why I stopped using the ability and now ask Mother Nature won't ever take from another person. Bernard, I think it's perfectly fine if it's a consenting person who has, let's say, and this, I don't know how this would work, because you remember there are, dangers to draining somebody. Like I said, you're draining their aura, and so you're going to get maybe some of their negative experiences when you do that. But if somebody is got an excess of energy and they're willing to give that, I think it's perfectly okay if both people are consenting to do that. So Sophia says, only ask for their karma to be sped up. That's not wishing. I just what they have coming. That's for the malevolent ones. Yes, Bernard says it was getting slightly addictive, which was one of the things that they addressed in Confessions of a Vampire, was that they were very tempted and it was very kind of addictive like. So they had to really keep that under control. Now, the last way to protect yourself past using the circles and the visualization there was to use and carry a smoky quartz that's programmed for specifically to prevent draining of energy. And the smoky quartz, from what I hear, really works very, very well for psychic vampire attacks. Now, last week, the week before, we went over the difference between a soul sucker and a psychic vampire. Soul suckers are kind of like malevolent psychic vampires in that they're weak and they have physical deficits, and they will drain you, but they are more like the malevolent psychic vampires in that they will transfer their physical ailments to you. And so what you're going to see in a soul sucker, and we can do a show on soul suckers just by itself, but soul suckers, you're going to see a increase in people around them having the same physical ailments that they do. So let's just say they have lung problems. Suddenly you're going to see people around them in close proximity having mysterious lung ailments crop up. And so those are soul suckers. And I think we'll do a show on that as well. So I'm checking for questions over here on Instagram. Hey Lizzie, how are you tonight? And then over here on Facebook, Kyla says that she uses a black tourmaline, and that's a good one too. Bernard says that's why I choose a different approach. And you know, Bernard, I really respect you for that. I think you're awesome for doing that as well. Sophia says, do you have any smoky quartz? I have a great tarot deck with your name on it. Thank you so much. I don't personally have any. I have my own personal smoky quartz, but I don't have any to sell. However, I do refer, if you're in Lexington, I refer people to Crystal Crazy. It's Barbara Bacon's shop, and I will leave a link in the comment section for whoever needs some smoky quartz or some other kind of stone that you want to use for this type of protection. If you're in Louisville, I suggest you go and see my good friends at Moonstruck, and they should have a lot of stones there as well. And I'll put both links in the comment section after the show so that you guys can get the gemstone support that you need. Let me make sure I have mentioned everything. Yes, okay, so we got it all. If you have any questions, hit the comments up. If I don't get to them tonight, I promise you I'll get to them tomorrow. Next Monday, we're going to go over bodyguards. What are bodyguards? Bodyguards are amulets and everything that kind of goes with an amulet to guard your body or your aura and your energy. And so if you like these episodes right now, go ahead and hit that share button and share this with your friends that you think might benefit from being apprised or aware of psychic vampires. Don't forget, Fun Friday is coming up again this Friday. And if you want a daily astrological forecast, visit my Facebook page every day. You're going to get planetary influences for the day. You're going to get to know, you know, is it going to be good or is it going to be a bad day, or do I need to protect myself for the day? Cha-cha-cha, Miss Melissa and Cleo. Thanks for joining us. I did give David the night off tonight, so there's no dinner tonight, just snacks. And I will see you next Monday for Bodyguards. Kisses from Kentucky. You guys take care, and I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.